Good evening. My name is Nomatemba Tambo. I'm the High Commissioner for South Africa in the United Kingdom, and I'm here having a wonderful evening with the State magazine.
How did you become ambassador for the UK, for South Africa, in the UK? What was your journey?
Well, I was in Italy. I was just really lucky. I think on the back of our former High Commissioner coming to the end of his tour, there was a vacancy. And I guess someone thought it would make sense for me to come here. I grew up here. I understand the environment. The British anti-apartheid movement was probably the largest anti-apartheid movement in the world.
Wow.
America a close second, Sweden also there. I mean, there's so many countries who were formidable, but I grew up here. So Trafalgar Square was my stomping ground.
Right.
And when my father would go and, talk to the people and so many other people. And actually, when you walk into the High Commission now, you'll see there's a whole wall with pictures of Trafalgar Square where people were demonstrating, particularly Labour MPs and dignitaries and church people and, of course, South African diaspora and all of this kind of stuff. So maybe it made sense for me to come.
Right.
And so here I am.
Wow. And how long have you been in office for?
18 months about. March will be 2 years.
One thing that's very, very interesting is the climate currently. How have you found, how has the rugby influenced the climate?
We're so proud. The thing is that I remember 1995 when we won the first World Rugby Cup. It's now this year, 25 years on, and we've won again.
Right. Very significant.
And my father always used to say to me, life is a circle. You always return to your beginning. And for me, that's what it feels like. 25 years ago, we won. We won 12 years ago, and now we won again 25 years later. I mean, it's remarkable. And with a black captain and more black players on the team
than ever before, right?
And the first World Cup, it was a bit of an exposure for black South Africans. It was a really mainly white team. So we were kind of looking at this thing thinking, okay, well, it's South Africa, woohoo. And so we're going to support, and we won, and we were all there hooting our cars and all of the rest of it. But I don't know that there was that really deep emotional connection. It was the Mandela era, so everybody was euphoric. Right. But this time it was completely different. This time there was total buy-in. Right. This time rugby is ours.
Right.
This time I want my kid to go and learn to play rugby, not football, or maybe both, but rugby, woohoo. So it's changed a lot. And the message that our rugby team has given us is stronger together. How great is that?
Stronger
together.
I mean, I think that's a fantastic mantra and a motto, bearing in mind that South Africa is known as a rainbow nation. Prior to that, how would you describe the climate when it comes to the different types of people that you've got living in South Africa?
Let me tell you a story, too. The first one was, I was driving down the highway. I didn't know where the heck I was going. I was still new to South Africa. So I found down my window hooted at this other car that was parallel to me. This white guy in there. I'm trying to get to such and such a place. I don't know where I'm going. Looks at me. Follow me. And he took me there. Then we have these things in South Africa called taxis. They're like combi buses. They're a mode of public transport. So I was lost in Pretoria, as always. And I just thought, oh. So I hooted again to this taxi driver. I said, I'm lost, blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to get to Senso. He said, you never find it. Follow me. Bus full. I said, but you're full. He says, don't worry. They understand. Everyone gets lost here. He took me there, got out of the taxi, said, go down this little street, turn left, and that's where you need to be.
Wow.
So the reason for these stories is that, to me, it just demonstrates the heart of South Africans.
Right.
Politics aside, South Africans are great people with great heart and kindness and generosity of spirit. Politics has separated us.
Right.
And we have to find our way back to building our country into what it should be. It'll take time. 25 years is nothing.
No.
It's not even a generation. So when the rest of the world is saying you're too slow, hello, not to be undiplomatic, but the UK hasn't quite got there yet.
No, that's right.
And neither has America, neither has many other countries. There's still racial issues. So we mustn't be judged after only 25 years. And bearing in mind our past history, I've got huge hopes for our country. Increasingly, I'm seeing young people who have left for studying, for job opportunities, going back. They want to be part of the future. And we've got a great president who's a businessman. Maybe the best business president, if I can be like President Trump, in the world. But he understands. He was a trade unionist, he was a politician, he was a businessman, and now he's president. And he's managed to bring all of that to now.
Wow.
And I think that's quite unique. Yeah.
Can I ask you, how do you feel about Nelson Mandela?
I love him. The world loves him. I'm not alone. I have particular emotions towards him because when I got married, which was in 1981, he was in Robben Island. And the week before my wedding, I received a letter from him. Now, it sounds easy, you know, in England, post office, mail moves. This was coming from Robben Island, which is not even on the mainland of South Africa. And it was smuggled out. So you have to understand that for me to get that letter in July means it was probably sent in May. And it had to do all of this, pass through so many hands, cross so many countries and seas before it finally arrived in my house in North London in Muswell Hill. And what he told me in the letter was, my daughter, you are about to become a wife. Be a good one. And he gave me advice as to what a good wife would do. And it was just the most special thing. So for me, of course I love him, but I love him, I think, in a very personal way, because he remembered my wedding and my wedding day.
Did you have a relationship with him after?
Yes.
And what was that like?
No, the relationship with Uncle Mandela, Uncle Nelson, I used to call him, was through my father, who was the president of the African National Congress in exile. He was sent out by the elders of the African National Congress to tell the world about what was happening in South Africa. At the time, Uncle Nelson and many other of our leaders were sent to jail for life. In fact, for death, to be frank. And my father was the one who was designated to come out. But they were best friends and they had a law practice together. And in fact, my mother introduced Uncle Nelson to Auntie Winnie because my mother and Auntie Winnie were at a hostel together for women. My mother was a nurse. Auntie Winnie was a social worker, and there was this hostel called the Helping Hands, and they were both there. And so because of my father's relationship with Uncle Nelson and my mother's friendship with Aunt Winnie, you know, they got together, matchmaking, and the rest is history. So to me, he's always been part of my family, as has Aunt Winnie. She's always been part of my family. And when Uncle Nelson came out of jail and came to Europe, I was there the first time he met my father, again after 27 years. But they were best friends throughout those 27 years. Weird, eh? But they were like this, trusted each other, loved each other. Of course, by then my father had had a stroke, but the meeting was just incredible. So I'm blessed because I saw history in the making, and I saw two friends, two brothers unite after 27 years of virtual silence.
Given the struggle in South Africa and the fact that you guys have had to find a way through all the differences, what advice have you got for the rest of the world when it comes to living in harmony?
Talk to each other. Have the courage to say, I don't know who you are. I don't know your lifestyle. I don't understand how you think. Teach me. Because if we can't do that, if we can't find a place of connection, we'll keep killing each other, hating each other, misunderstanding each other, and even worse than all of that, teaching our children to follow in our footsteps.
There's an airport named after your father, isn't
Yeah, Oliver Tambo, O.R. Tambo Airport, Johannesburg. So next time you fly into Johannesburg, you're flying into O.R. Tambo International. And when you arrive in the arrivals hall, there's a statue of him there with a suitcase because he was our first diplomat. And on the suitcase is the names of all the countries that he traveled in the name of fighting for freedom for South Africans.